Welcome, Bronco Nation, to another top 25 review for week 15. I'm sorry. I've got to learn how to use Photoshop and get more tech savvy. This is the third time that I have tried to make this video. The first time I messed something up and had to restart, and the second time I was halfway through and the fire alarm went off in my building. So this is reset, redo, take 3, click. Sorry about that. Obviously, it doesn't impact you. You're watching it for the first time. I gotta go over it for a third time. So, third time's a charm. Let's knock this thing out. So, okay. So, there's 3 things that we're looking for in these videos, and not these videos, in the top 25. First thing that we're gonna look for, and I'm gonna say it right off the bat to all those realists out there. I just like to call them pessimistic fans, but all those realists out there, I 100% agree with you. Boise State is almost definitely not getting into the New Year's Six this year. However, as I laid out in my last video where I reviewed Boise State's chances at the New Year's Six and Cincinnati's chances at the playoffs, Boise State still has a path. They still have a way that they could get there if everything worked out. And I'll put the link in. If you want to hear exactly what needs to happen for Cincinnati, Boise State, whatever, Cincinnati get into the playoffs and Boise State then to get into New Year's Six, you can watch that video. I'll put the link in the description. However, this week is going to determine a lot of that. It could work a lot of things for Cincinnati. Whatever happens this week, Cincinnati's still got a shot at the playoffs. But this week, if Coastal Carolina beats Troy, Boise State's chances at the New Year's Six are gone. I 100% agree with you. At that point, I'll be 100% in your court. Boise State won't have a chance at the New Year's Six. However, right now, small chance, but they could still do it. However, even if Boise State can't get the New Year's Six bowl bid, it is still important for Boise State to finish in the top 25. First off, it's important to finish the season in the top 25 for Boise State because that would be a huge accomplishment on a COVID year that knocked out a lot of things that would have set Boise State up for success, including their first and second string quarterbacks. Well, second string was due to concussion or due to getting hit hard against BYU, but their first string quarterback who may have been able to win that game for them if he'd been able to play. So not only just knocking that out, but it would also be a huge accomplishment for Boise State to get in the top 25 on a COVID year. But even beyond that, where the ceiling that a team can reach the next season is often, and I would say almost definitely predominated by where they start the season in the rankings. And where you start the season is a lot of times based on where you finished the season in the rankings. Now, a lot of times teams will finish in the top 25, but they'll lose a lot of players to graduation or whatever, draft, and then they will fall in the rankings. However, Boise State, all players have their eligibility for an additional year. COVID year doesn't count towards eligibility. So Boise State players, all of them have the option to return. So Boise State is looking at potentially returning a full team next year, in addition to the recruits that they pick up. They'll definitely be returning their top passer, their top rusher, and their top receivers for sure, and a defensive unit that has struggled but has shown potential, and we've given a full offseason to work together and work out. They might have the potential to be one of the all-time great defensive units for Boise State based on the potential that they've shown to work together. They've just not been able to finish, and a lot of that comes down to prepping for the season coming into it. But they show the raw skill, which is what we see in the first half, where they play incredible in the first half. I think they're averaging giving up 8 points or less in the first half. Second half is when they give up an average of 16 points, I believe, in the second half. And that's where it just tumbles downhill. But this Boise State team if they could finish in the top 25, if they're deemed worthy of finishing the top 25 this year, at the end of this year, they're almost definitely going to be considered to be worthy to finish in that same position or higher at the start in that same position or higher next year, which would put them off on a very good footing to actually compete for the New Year's Six. So let's go over it then. So first off, Alabama over Arkansas. It'd be great if Arkansas could win this game. Alabama is favored by 32 points. It's unlikely, but that's at 10 a.m. Mountain Time, ESPN. 10 a.m. Mountain Time, SEC Network, number 9 Georgia versus number 25 Missouri. Now, this is a hard one for me because in my emotion, you're not going off of reason, but off of emotion, I want Missouri to lose. It absolutely ticks me off that Missouri at 5-3 got into the top 25. That is absolutely ridiculous. However, Georgia has a chance here if they beat Missouri to jump over Cincinnati. Cincinnati already got passed last week by Iowa State, making it that much more harder for them to get into the playoffs. Now they need Iowa State to lose ahead of them in addition to all those other teams that I laid out in my last video, which you can follow the link in the description to watch. So in this case, we need Missouri to beat Georgia, which would just suck because it would validate to a certain extent the playoff committee, the biased playoff committee, putting them in at number 25. However, Missouri losing would help Boise State potentially move into the rankings, but right now, because Cincinnati still has a chance, Boise State still has a potential path, we're going to want Missouri to win this game. It's a hard one. I wanted to say Georgia, but Boise State, it just makes more logical and rational sense for Missouri to win this game. There's another thing, though, and I should address this at the beginning of the video. In addition to hoping that Boise State can get in the top 25, which is a lower likelihood this week, but it's still something to root for, and the more teams that get knocked out, the higher that potential becomes. But the big chance is for San Jose State to get in the top 25, who is 5-0 with a chance to get to 6-0 this week win over a good Nevada team. Could definitely get them to the top 25, which Boise State is going to play them in the Mountain West Championship game. It's already decided. So that would be a great opportunity for Boise State to beat a top 25 team and potentially move into the top 25 ahead of their bowl matchup. So that's where we're going to be rooting for teams. This case, though, if you wanted to go ahead and root for Georgia, that would be okay. I mean, if you're saying Boise State has zero chance of getting in, which they don't, but if you're going to say that Boise State has zero chance of getting in, a win by Georgia would also work out in Boise State's favor that way. But I think that Cincinnati still has a shot, and Boise State still has a shot technically, so it'd be great if Missouri could win this one. Sorry to kind of go more in depth on that. 10 a.m. Mountain Time, ESPN2, Illinois versus Northwestern. It'd be great if 2-4 fighting I don't know how to say what their mascot is. Anyhow, whatever it is, be great if they could knock off Northwestern right now, sitting at 5-1. Might knock them out of the rankings, but it would also discredit Ohio State's potential win against them, and maybe knock them out of the top 4, which would potentially open up room for a Cincinnati team. And if Northwestern did lose this game and get knocked far back and then beat Ohio State, it would definitely knock Ohio State out of the top 4 and not allow Northwestern to jump over Cincinnati. Utah versus Colorado, 10 a.m. Mountain Time on Fox. We're going to be rooting for Utah. Colorado entered the ranking, deservedly so, at 4-0 last week, and they're now at number 21. But Utah is a very good team. Colorado is only favored by 2 points. I think Utah has the potential to pull a win out in this one. It'd be great if they could knock Colorado, Buffalo out of the rankings there. Coastal Carolina versus Troy. This is the game. Unfortunately, it's only on ESPN+, but this is the game for Boise State fans, aside from the Boise State game, of course. This is the game that determines whether or not Boise State has a chance at all, whether how small that may be, a chance greater than 0 to get into the New Year's Six. Because if Coastal Carolina loses to Troy, they will be knocked out of the rankings, and they will be knocked out of any potential to get into the New Year's Six. And then if Coastal Carolina can beat Louisiana next weekend, then they will knock Louisiana out of it. And then all Boise State will have ahead of them, probably speaking, because Tulsa is going to lose to Cincinnati, or if they do in this scenario for Boise State to get in, if Cincinnati gets into the playoffs, Boise State would probably, as the Mountain West winner, the winner of one of the top group of 5 conferences, would probably, especially if they were to win against a top 25 San Jose State, would probably get that group of 5 slot. So, but it all starts right now with Troy beating Coastal Carolina. If that doesn't happen, Boise State's chances are 0%, I would say, of getting into the New Year's Six at that point. North Carolina versus Miami, 1:30 p.m. Mountain Time. Oh, sorry, that last one is at 1 p.m. Mountain Time on ESPN+. 1:30 p.m. Mountain Time, ABC, number 17 North Carolina versus number 10 Miami. It'd be great if number 10 Miami could beat the 7-3 Tar Heels. They already have 3 losses. A 4th loss would knock them out of the rankings. And I think Miami's going to do it. I think they're a little bit overrated, but they also are, I think, a better team than North Carolina, who at 3 losses should not be in the top 25. 1:30 p.m. Mountain Time, FS1, Wisconsin versus Iowa, number 16 Iowa. I've already gone in my other videos over how overranked I think Iowa is. I think Wisconsin's going to win this game. They are favored to win this game by 1 point, and I think it will knock Iowa out of the rankings. They don't deserve to be in them. Open up room for potentially San Jose State or maybe a Boise State team. LSU versus Florida, 5 p.m. Mountain Time, ESPN. And did I go with the... Yeah, I said FS1 for last one. Okay, 5 p.m. Mountain Time, ESPN. LSU, oh, how the mighty have fallen. I mean, we've already seen them fall, but they continue to fall almost every week. At 3-5, they've already bowed out of... Oh, how gracious. They've bowed out of the bowl season. I don't think they were going to a bowl anyway. But they have graciously bowed. They've put on their own. They're investigating themselves. Some donor gave money to football players on the field after their win. I don't know how that's the program's fault, but the NCAA loves to put on burdensome regulations unfairly. So LSU is voluntarily removing themselves from bowl games for this year. All right, way to go LSU, real champs right there. Be great if they could beat Florida. Would be a great step. Florida is favored by 23 points. I don't think it's going to happen. LSU also just lost their top receiver, so he's done. He's pulled himself out for the season. So they're facing a lot of things, but we've seen underdogs pull off upsets before, so we'll see. 5 p.m. Mountain Time, ESPNU, number 22, Oklahoma State versus Baylor. Oklahoma State only favored by 5 points in this matchup. I think Baylor has a good chance. Oklahoma State is free falling after losing TCU last week. Almost fell out of the rankings. They're that close to getting knocked out. Would open up teams. If there are 4 or 5 teams that fall out of the rankings, maybe if there's 5 teams that fall out of the rankings this week, San Jose State I think would definitely be in. And Boise State might have a chance of getting in, even though they're 4-1, haven't played in 2 weeks. If they can win a big win against Wyoming, not that Wyoming's a good team, but have a big numerical, statistical performance against Wyoming, they have a chance of getting into the top 25. And there's a lot of teams that might go down this weekend, so the good thing to watch here. Number 15, USC, 5:30 p.m. Mountain Time, ABC, UCLA against UCLA, 3-2 Bruins. So it'd be great if UCLA could beat USC. I think USC is way overranked at 4-0. They've played almost nobody. Arizona State, and 2 other teams, obviously, but they've played absolutely terrible teams. I was looking at their schedule earlier, but not a good team. Maybe a good team, but definitely an overrated team with narrow wins against Arizona and Arizona State. Be great if UCLA could knock them off. I think they have the chance to. I think Chip Kelly's got that team on the right track. I think they're playing pretty good this year. I think USC is only favored by 3 points. This is a rivalry game. Be great to see that USC knocked out. I think it would knock the Trojans out of the top 25. San Diego State versus BYU, 8 p.m. Mountain Time, ESPN2. This is a tough one because on the one hand, BYU beat BYU beat Boise State. It was with a crippled Boise State squad, but they did beat Boise State. So, on the one hand, you'd think that we'd want BYU to win to help Boise State look good, which is what we wanted last weekend. However, BYU already has a loss. They're already kind of losing favor with the committee. San Diego State has a loss to San Jose State already. So, San Jose State they beat them 28-17. So if San Jose State beats San Diego State, if San Diego State can beat BYU, and then Boise State beats San Jose State, it doesn't entirely negate the loss to BYU. However, it does play into that, and I think that it would be better overall. Also might open up room for Boise State if 18 BYU falls out here. And, of course, BYU, rival team there. Boise State fans, we hate BYU. It'd be great. I also hate San Diego State actually a little bit more than BYU, but in this case, I think we're going to want San Diego State to win this just because San Jose State haven't beat them. Boise State beat San Jose State. It kind of cancels out that loss a little bit. Not entirely, but better than BYU beating San Diego State, which I don't think would really impact Boise State that much. 8 p.m. Mountain Time, ESPN2, late night game. And then after that, we got a bunch of games that got canceled, and that is it. So that's the video, short one today. So thanks for watching. If you're watching this off the Bronco Nation's updates page, I will be updating the post of any teams that get the games canceled or postponed going forward. I'm glad I looked down at my paper here because there are 2 games that I want to mention that aren't top 25. So on Friday, we have Nevada versus San Jose State, 6-1 Nevada versus 5-0 San Jose State. Regardless of that game, I think San Jose State's already secured I think they're already in. I'm pretty sure. Boise State's in for sure, and I think San Jose State. I think I remember reading something. If Nevada beats San Jose State, and then Boise State beats Wyoming, and then something else happens, Nevada could potentially be in. Regardless, we want San Jose State to beat Nevada. It'd be great to get 6-0 San Jose State team in versus a 7-1 Nevada team. I think that 6-0 San Jose State team has a better chance of getting ranked than a 7-1 Nevada team does with that loss to Hawaii. So if San Jose State can beat Nevada, and they can beat them convincingly. That's going to be 8 p.m. CBS Sports Network on Friday. They can beat them convincingly. It might be enough to push San Jose State, especially with other losses here, to push them in the top 25. So that's what we'll be rooting for this weekend. And then the other big one, not necessarily big as far as impacting Boise State. I don't think it impacts Boise State really at all. But Army versus Navy. That's the game as they call it. Coming up this weekend is 1 p.m. CBS not CBS Sports, just CBS, the big network. 1 p.m. on Saturday. 7-2 Army takes on 3-6 Navy. We're going to be rooting for Army in this one. Now, yes, I know that 7-2 Army has a chance if they beat Navy to jump to the top 25, but that's fine because Air Force, unlike most seasons, because the game got postponed, this is not the last. This does not determine the Commanders and Chiefs trophy. Air Force has a chance to beat Army next week, and Army that top 25, Air Force beating Army, Boise State beat Air Force. That would be big, I think, for the Mountain West credibility, and I think it'd be big for Boise State if Air Force could beat a potentially top 25 Army. Besides, Navy is an American Athletic Conference AAC school. We're always going to root against AAC as that main rival to the Mountain West. So, rooting for Army in this one. Thanks for watching my video today. If you like these videos, make sure you like and subscribe. I'm also going to be releasing back-to-back with this video the top 25 the 3 keys to the game versus Wyoming. I was a little bit late getting that out this week. I apologize for that. Make sure you like and subscribe if you like these videos. And of course, join Bronco Nation Updates page. We have over 8,000 members. Great place to root on your Broncos in all sports, not just football, throughout the year. All right, as always, thanks for listening to me, and go Big Blue.